everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sydney. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to start talking about how to make Poshmark your full-time job. If you are wanting to start reselling full-time, this is definitely the video for you. This is a topic that I get asked about almost on a daily basis, is how I knew that I wanted to resell full-time, or how I knew that it was time to quit my job and go full-time as a reseller. And so in this video, I'm going to kind of discuss that with you and some things that led to my decision, and kind of give you some tips on how to decide for yourself if you want to quit your job and become a full-time entrepreneur. Before we get started, if you're in my Show Up and Source group coaching program, we are going to be doing a live show in that group later this week. I'm going to be going through some items that I have been sourcing lately, doing kind of like a live thrift haul and talking a little bit more about my strategy for sourcing for Poshmark as well as sourcing for Mercari. So if you're in the group coaching program, definitely keep an eye out for that. Make sure you check the group daily for announcements. If you're not in the group coaching program but would like to join, I will link that information down in the description box and in the comments for you. Okay, so let's get into talking about how to make Poshmark and reselling your full-time job. So the first thing that you need to start doing is you need to treat it like a full-time job. And I know that sounds kind of overwhelming, especially if you are working another full-time job. Even if it's not your full-time job, you have to kind of put it in your mind that reselling is your full-time job, and that is the point at which you want to be, and you have to treat it as such to kind of manifest that and bring that to life. So when I made the decision to go full-time as an entrepreneur, just a little bit about me. I went to the University of South Carolina. I studied biology. When I finished college, I got a job working at a vet's office. It was a 24-hour emergency vet. It was very overwhelming. It was very stressful, but that was like my first big girl job where I had like insurance and benefits and all of that. But I was just absolutely miserable. I worked 12-hour shifts there, sometimes overnight, and I was just not happy with my life. And it was becoming very clear to me that this sort of, office job type life was just not for me. I did not enjoy being confined to one place all day. I did not enjoy being told when I was allowed to eat, or, when I was allowed to get coffee and things like that. It was not for me. I was not happy. I was completely miserable. I cried every day. It was just not a happy time in my life. So because I was completely miserable, that was a lot of the motivation behind me quitting my job to go full-time as an entrepreneur. I had already been selling on Poshmark. I started selling on Poshmark in college, so I already sort of knew how to do it. Not to mention I had worked in brick and mortar retail for several years. I was probably around 23, 24 at this point. I had started working retail when I was 17. So at this point I had about 7 years of retail experience under my belt, doing visual merchandising, even shipping and things like that. I basically ran a boutique by myself while I was in college. I was the only employee who worked there, who worked in the front of the store. And while that was one of the most difficult jobs I'd ever had, it was probably one of the most beneficial and taught me the most about running a boutique. And in the boutique we weren't getting a lot of sales, we weren't getting a lot of foot traffic. So I took things in the boutique and I started putting them online on the store's website, and that is how we started making sales. So shortly after I quit the boutique to go work at the vet's office where I was full-time, the boutique went out of business because nobody was doing anything to drive sales to the boutique. So I've been thrown to the wolves in several jobs that I've ever had, but that ultimately taught me the most about what I do now. What I do now, I learned actually working other jobs in retail, not so much studying biology. But anyway, that was a little tangent. But so I was completely miserable, and that was the driving force behind me quitting my job. Is I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I knew that I had to take steps to make myself happier, because I just couldn't live my life like that. So that was, you know, sort of a driving force behind me quitting my job. But I did start treating selling on Poshmark as a full-time job. I didn't exactly know that the term for it at the time was like being a reseller. It wasn't until after I quit my job that I discovered there was like this whole community of people who did this for a living. So and again, this was back in 2014. So 2013, 2014, there really wasn't that much information on the internet about reselling and Poshmark and all of that. So I started doing, I started listing more stuff. I started listing stuff from around my house. I didn't really have a lot of disposable money to go and buy things to resell. I also didn't really know at that point a lot about thrifting things to resell either. So I started selling things from around my house. That way I wasn't really spending any money in terms of getting inventory, and I was making money. So I started treating this like my full-time job. I would get up every day and I would find things to list, and I would start listing them, and I was extremely slow. It was a struggle to get even like 10 items up. I didn't have any lighting. I didn't have anything. I would photograph things in my mom's sunroom, and I had like a 2-hour window in the afternoon where I could photograph things before the sunlight went away. So that was my life for a few months until I was able to get a lighting kit and, you know, kind of have sort of a basic photo setup to where I could work a little bit faster. But I was treating this like my full-time job. I was doing this to pay my bills. In this time, I did get a part-time job working retail just a few hours a week, and I would use that money to then begin sourcing for other things to resell. So if you are kind of in that position where you enjoy the consistent income of your full-time job and you're not quite ready to just give up that consistent income to start reselling, definitely look for a part-time job and use that money to grow your capital to be able to buy inventory and fund your business. And then that brings me to my next point, is you need to start budgeting and saving. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is when I quit my job, I was one person. I did not have any children. I was not married. I didn't have anybody else who was depending on me. I had very minimal bills. I had bills, but it was very minimal, like my car payment, my student loans, things like that. So, you know, if you have other people who are depending on you, how much you have to budget and save to be able to quit your job is going to be very different than if you are a single person with no one depending on you. So you really have to evaluate your situation, and you have to figure out how much money realistically you need to save to be able to survive while you are building your business if you are looking to quit your full-time job. The next thing you have to do is you really have to change your mindset. If you are in a very negative mindset, if you are in a fearful mindset, then you are probably not going to be successful if you quit your job at this point. So if you go with your gut feeling, if you have any sort of negative emotions or fearful emotions in your gut, then it is probably not the time to quit your job. I knew 100% without a shadow of doubt when I quit my job that I needed to quit my job. And I didn't know what was going to happen. That's not, what I'm saying is that I was certain of what was going to happen, but I was certain that I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be that miserable. And because of those feelings, I felt like I was being kind of pushed by the universe to quit my job and to pursue other things. I just had this feeling inside of me that there was something bigger and better out there for me, that there were just better opportunities for me, and that I was limiting myself in staying at this job where I was absolutely miserable. So you have to get in the right mindset, and you have to get in the mindset for success, and then you also have to trust your gut. If you feel in your gut that you should quit your job, then you should probably quit your job. I don't think that we were put here to be miserable. I don't think that we were put here to, you know, get up and go somewhere every day where we don't want to be. And I feel like if you are looking to better your life and to look for better opportunities, I truly feel that those opportunities will come to you. So you have to go out and you have to look for them, and you have to really sit down with yourself and figure out, you know, how do you feel about quitting your job? How do you feel about being a full-time entrepreneur? Look at your work ethic. Are you disciplined enough to be consistent enough in working for yourself to generate income? These are all questions that you have to sit down and you have to ask yourself, and you have to really figure out, is this what I want to do? Is this, you know, do I have the discipline to get up every day and to tell myself, okay, you have to work? Because there are some days where you wake up and the motivation is not there. So your money is not coming from motivation, it's coming from discipline. At first you're going to be excited and you're going to be all, you know, motivated and happy because you're starting something new, but eventually that new wears off, and you have to have the discipline in place to keep going. You know, it's a lot of people ask me, how do you stay motivated all the time? How do you do this every day? A lot of times it's not motivation. A lot of times it's the motivation is not there. It's nowhere to be found. And it's just getting up and knowing I have to do this, this, and this, that this is my job. And that is kind of how you have to look at it. You have to make yourself a list every day and kind of go through the motions sometimes. But then some days you wake up and you're really motivated and you're really happy and you have a great sales day. And you know, when you start seeing these deposits hitting your bank account every day and you're not waiting 2 weeks anymore for a paycheck. Guys, I used to work retail and I would wait 2 weeks for a $200 paycheck. Like, when you start seeing this money going into your bank account every single day, you get motivated. You want to keep doing it. You want to keep bettering yourself. So, but you have to kind of sit down with yourself and write down your goals and figure out, you know, how do I get from the place I'm at now to the place that I want to be. My next tip for you is to start cross-posting. Now, as much as I want to sit here and I want to tell you, yeah, you can make a full-time income off of Poshmark 100%, you can do that, but it's going to come to you faster if you are cross-posting across multiple platforms. If you're brand new to this and you're trying to figure out which platforms to cross-post to, I highly recommend going with Mercari to start off with. eBay is a very advanced platform, so unless you are, you know, familiar with online selling and things like that, Mercari is going to be the next step for you in terms of a user-friendly platform. Not saying eBay is impossible to learn, but there's a lot more that goes on with eBay other than what goes on with Mercari. Mercari is a nice hybrid between Poshmark and eBay, so that's usually what I recommend to people as their next step in terms of cross-posting. And then once you start mastering 2 platforms, then you can move to 3 platforms, and you will gradually grow and you will gradually become more comfortable with cross-posting. But in cross-posting, that gives you more of an opportunity to make sales and to make consistent daily sales, to start getting that daily income and those daily deposits going into your bank. My next tip is to utilize other side hustles. So this is completely going to depend on you as a person. For example, when I quit my job, I was doing Poshmark, and I was doing local craft shows where I would sell my jewelry. I was doing calligraphy. I would do wedding invitations and wedding signage. I would do social media management for a couple different people. So I had multiple streams of income already in place where, you know, none of them were full-time income, but I had income coming in from different places, where I wasn't just dependent on my Poshmark sales. But in doing this, that allowed me to grow my capital and to be able to source more inventory for my reselling business. And it also gave me kind of flexibility in my schedule. These days, you have so many things that you can do. You can do affiliate marketing, you can start a YouTube channel, you can sell things on Instagram, you can start driving for DoorDash or Uber Eats and make money that way. There's so many ways to make money that allow you to have a flexible schedule and to be able to do what you want to do. Okay guys, that is my video for today. I hope this helped you. If you are out there and you are wanting to be an entrepreneur full-time and you're wanting to work for yourself, definitely go for it. If that is something that you feel in your gut that you should do, I always tell people, go with your gut. Really evaluate your situation. You know, obviously make smart decisions, but it's not impossible for you to be an entrepreneur and work for yourself. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one.